We are here because we are dedicated to helping the entire CrossFit community. Determined to elevate coaches, box owners, athletes, and everything in between, we believe that this mission will begin right here, right now. While this time and this goal begins with you, our hope is that you take this fire ignited within you and weave it into your own life with the same unrelenting passion to give those you have the privilege of coming in contact with the best hour of their day.
All right, Jason Crowe, two Jasons here on the podcast. Jason, part of Precision Nutrition. We go back quite some time. VP of Partnership and Business Development.
You got it, Jay.
Well,
you got it. You crushed it. Is
that one of those made-up titles? Does that have any meaning?
It's absolutely made up, 100%.
It looks to me like you're working from the outdoors, but you're probably working from home.
This is my version of Between Two Ferns.
The classic Zach Galifianakis.
This is the Toronto in the fall version of Between Two Ferns. Between Two Maples is what we've got here.
I would imagine you get like 3 quality fall days in Toronto before winter.
It's funny. So when I was a kid, we would get 3 quality fall days, and now it just feels like the seasons that have expanded are spring and fall. So like we're having a beautiful fall. Like today, it's going to be like 73 degrees. Sun will be out. And the trees kind of look like this. It'll be lovely. This will carry into mid-November now. When I was a kid, by mid-November, we had already gotten 2 feet of snow.
Yeah,
like it's crazy how quickly that's happened.
Is it? Do you think global warming? What's going on here?
Oh, Jay, can we get that political this early in the podcast?
Well, you told me you were giving me some great fatherly advice. Of course, I hit you with, I'm Jewish and nothing, counts because Jewish parents are not me, my parents. I would say like at this point, I'm not so religious anymore. I'll go to temple for a wedding or a funeral, probably. Maybe a bar mitzvah. I can get down to the Coke and Pepsi game and some chicken dance. But you play? Did you ever go to any bar mitzvahs? Jews in Canada?
100%. 100%. Are there Jews in Canada?
I feel like you guys don't allow Jewish people in Canada. Is that just me? At the border, they're like, hey, we're checking for they don't let you in if you have like a DWI. Like I know you guys are really strict about that. And then I think basically Jews are next on the list. Like no drinking and driving, no Jews.
I would go ahead and squash that. This is socialist Canada, Jay. Like we let anybody in here. 100%. We are big on the thing. If you try and come here for work and you have an existing conviction,
one time
we don't let people.
I did my level 1 in Toronto, but one time I was working for Ripito. I don't know if you know Mark Ripito.
Oh yes, yeah. I haven't heard that name in a while though.
Yeah, it's been a while, right?
Yeah.
Last time he was popular was recently. He said CrossFit doesn't make you strong. So obviously he was wrong about that. There's the baby. See here.
Huh? Hello.
Don't worry, honey. We're just recording a podcast. No one's listening anyway.
Yeah, it's totally
Rocky's
fine.
Birthday, and he won't go with her though. Hold on, Rocky, go eat breakfast. Go. It's his birthday today, and but I haven't had a chance to feed him yet. So he's very attached to me down here. But anyway, I get there for to work a seminar, and they like, why are you here? And I didn't know anything like this. I'm younger. I didn't know anything. I'm like, hey, I'm here to work a seminar. And they're like, why can't a Canadian do it?
Exactly.
And I was like, it caught me. I was like, what are they? I was like, well, I'm really good. And like, it took I was probably there realistically.
The most American answer you could give.
I was probably there for like 30
minutes. You can't do this.
They finally let me in. Yeah. And I was like, hey, Rip, why didn't you give me a heads up that this is hard? Like, I didn't know that. I'd gone to Canada, to party in college, Montreal, but never to work. But
Low drinking age.
Now, if you go there for CrossFit, which I've done also for seminar staff, they even give you a letter, to show. You get and they basically tell you not to say, I probably shouldn't say this online, but, not to say you're there for work necessarily, if you can avoid it.
I think that'd be the case in any time crossing a border, because as soon as you say anytime I'm here to work, the implication is exactly like you said, why can't somebody else I always attend seminars. I've never said that I'm speaking at anything. I always say, "Oh, I'm just attending a seminar. I am merely a student of your great land. Educate me so I can take it back to my countrymen."
Now I basically, like, you know who I am. Like, come on, I'm Jason Ackerman, best hour of their day. Like, you know me.
So if you don't lead with that exact line, I think it's a complete missed opportunity for you, Jay. Like telling someone at Canada Border Services, this may be a little embarrassing for you. My name is Jason Ackerman. Everyone else here knows who I am. It might be your first day.
You probably have my podcast downloaded.
You've probably listened to best hour of their day. You've probably you've heard of us.
You're rocking a CrossFit hat today, Jason.
You know what the funny part is? I just went out for a walk with a good friend of mine, John Goodman, who's in the fitness space as well. And I put on this hat just as I was walking out the door. And then literally when I sat down and the camera went on, I realized that I was wearing a CrossFit hat. And I was like, I think this might be a little on the nose for the thing. And then you came on right when I had that thought and could not reach for another hat. So
it's all good.
We're in at this point. We're wearing the CrossFit.
What is your stance on walking? I feel like walking is gaining popularity. As silly as that sounds, I'm not even trying to make a joke, but everybody's like getting their 10,000. I think since the invention or the adoption of these smartwatches and Fitbits and all that kind of stuff, and all of a sudden it's like, did you get your 10,000 steps? I'm doing Walktober. I'm seeing out there, like, I think for a lot of people it's like getting away from, especially since the work from home thing started happening 2 years ago. What's your, do you have a goal every day with walking, and what do you use it for?
So it's a great question. So I
be prepared for lots of those, by the way.
I should know that. It's funny. I remember when Adam Fight was on.
Adam's my boy. I haven't talked to him in a bit. I miss that guy.
Adam, I remember Adam saying one time to you, "That's a good question," and then your response was something to the effect of, "Well, you should expect that."
It's like when somebody leads a sentence with like, "You want to have my honest opinion?" I'm like, "No, lie to me." Like, of course,
no.
Certain things don't need to be said. I'm going to ask a lot of good questions. They're
going to be great. So we should just work under that assumption. I don't have any sort of, I wear an Apple Watch. I don't care what my rings say. I have kind of personally what I want to accomplish from a movement perspective every single day. And I just kind of try and keep myself accountable. Where I've started using the walks, interestingly enough, so Precision Nutrition has always been a virtual company. So we've never actually had an office. So my entire time that I've been at PN, which is now 3.5 years, I've been in my home, at a desk behind a green screen. And what I started doing, interestingly enough, during the pandemic that I hadn't done previously, is starting taking walking meetings. So in situations where it doesn't require me to look at another screen, or we're working on a document together or anything, if you and I were just having a conversation, I take the Zoom call, make it audio only, and I go for a walk. And I find what it does for me is just, it allows me to be, it allows me to get out in the air a little bit more. And I find that when I come back, it's not that there's any sort of exertion, but I just feel a little lighter and then go into the next meeting. Because what is incredibly draining for me is my worst case scenario for a day is 8 hours of 30-minute meetings. When those happen, I cringe, because you're just basically hammering through these things one after another, one Zoom call after another. So I try and break it up as much as I can with the walks. And we got a dog just before the pandemic started, so we're not in the pandemic dog category. Before you give me that label,
what kind of dog?
We got an Old English sheepdog.
Oh, cool.
So she's probably 70 pounds. So she's a good sized dog. So whenever I get the chance, I'll just take her for a walk with me, and that's it. So that's really what I use the walking for.
Yeah, we have 3 dogs, which is 3 too many, and except for Rocky, Rocky's the best. But it's a great excuse to get out. I think I've seen other people say it. It's like these dogs that were adopted or purchased during the pandemic people are going back to work and all of a sudden these dogs are like, where are you going? Like we were hanging out.
We had a
all day.
thing.
Yeah. So that's cool that I didn't realize you guys were always virtual. That's really cool. And speaking of this, precision nutrition, for most people, they look at it, it's like, okay, this is a nutrition company. And the number of PN1s I see online every day is growing. Like I think you guys are doing great things, and probably the most important thing. And my biggest takeaway when I was taking the course is just like, hey, small wins, meet people where they are.
Yep.
I get very frustrated with social media. Everyone's promoting nonsense and what works for me. Cool. Yeah, that's great. This guy needs to lose 100 pounds. How about rather than work on fasted cardio and, weighing and measuring his food, let's get this dude to drink some water. Like I gave one of my clients 3 goals to hit every day. I said, okay, I want you to wake up and step on the scale. And I know some people will say daily scale, but it's like for him, it works. He's a numbers guy. And it's like, just sets your intention for the day.
That's exactly it.
Tim Ferriss has spoken about that. Like just weighing yourself every day kind of modulates what you eat. I said, I want you to have a glass, just like this one, my Yeti over here, filled with water first thing. And then I want you to go for a 20-minute walk. That's it. And it's working wonders for him. It's, the Atomic Habits, the James Clear type mentality, or Tiny Habits. I'm reading a new book. I think BJ Fogg wrote it. So, PN1 has always kind of been in that line, but now, you reached out to me that you've got some cool new adventures coming out.
Yeah, and just a couple quick things on what you said. I think that the most important thing for us is the meeting people where they're at, and you said it. And as part of that, using the scale piece. For some people, we tell them to avoid the scale because the number is not, for a lot of folks, is not actually the thing that they're looking for. I think what makes PN unique is that we're the only company that's currently, in CrossFit, you can argue kind of does the same thing. We're educating people, but we also coach folks ourselves. So the two sides of the business feed each other. So what we learn when we coach someone influences how we train our coaches. And similarly, what we learn when we're training our coaches influences the way that we coach people. So, for us, it's one of those things that meeting someone where they're at means that it's not, they'll come to us and say, listen, I want to lose 10 pounds. Okay, perfect. Why do you want to lose 10 pounds? Oh, because my pants don't fit, and it's just uncomfortable and I just should really lose 10 pounds. And then what the coaches are trained to do is really get deep into the why for that person. And what we learn almost every time is it has nothing to do with the pants. There's a number of other factors that really the coach's job is to work with that individual on. And if we can correct those or right size them for that individual, then the pants will just come along for the ride. So, for some people, you're exactly right. Making themselves accountable and motivated is that scale. The thing that we try and coach people on is once you get to that number, whatever that number is that you have in your head, if the things that were really driving that desire to meet a number haven't been addressed, you're just going to be the same person, just 10 pounds lighter, right? And so we try and get people to fix those things. But you're exactly right. Sorry, go ahead.
I think something that's important is, I'm often posting about members and, when I say members, CrossFitters doing less at the box. And I think I probably have never done a great job vocalizing this, but I think my big concern is if you only identify yourself as an athlete or a CrossFitter that works out, like what happens when you can no longer do that? And can no longer doesn't necessarily mean injury. Sometimes it is injury. Sometimes it's age. Sometimes it's like me, you have an 8-month-old, we were talking about fatherhood earlier. And I can tell you right now, if you would have told me 9 months ago before she was born, like, hey, you're going to rather identify as a father than an athlete. And, athlete I use in quotations, but basically, caring about my physique, my performance, etc. I'd be like, you're crazy. Like I would, like this. And don't get me wrong, I still train often, but man, I've given up so many workouts in 8 months already. And, it really makes you have to think about prioritizing, right? Like your children over your workouts, but also who you identify as. And
Exactly.
so many of those people, that's what I'm really, I'm getting at. And for those listeners, I often come off as like hyperbolic. I get it, and with absolutes to draw attention. But it's like, yeah, if you're spending 3 hours of your day at the gym, even 2 hours, I'm like, who are you? Like, you're a person that does thrusters and pull-ups. That's awesome. I would rather be a father. I would rather be a philosopher. I know that sounds super like crazy, like, but like,
a partner,
writing,
a friend,
exactly,
a son,
So,
whomever.
Yeah. So I think that's really important to consider. Like, what happens? You're gonna get hurt. Your life's gonna come at you. What happens then?
And I think one of the things that CrossFit and just let's just call it movement lifestyle factors in general, in my opinion, and I don't want to get preachy about this, but I'm going to, gives us the ability to do those things longer, right? Or more of them. So if you identify as a son, as a father, as a friend, as a church member, whatever your thing is, your movement and your maintenance of your health and well-being just allows you to do those other things longer, better, influencing a wider group. That's the way I've always, and that's why I don't have a number that I'm trying to hit with this watch. I'm not trying to close my rings. I'm just personally trying to make sure I'm getting a little bit of movement, a little bit of fresh air, enough water during the day, and I'm trying to manage my sleep and stress, which sounds like it's a bridge into what you and I can talk about, but it really isn't. But sleep and stress management is something that I have not, up until this last year, really put enough thought into. I just always thought, okay, my stress is influenced by how much I'm working out, right? And if I don't work out for a week, I feel like my stress starts to go up. And in fact, the systems are a association, not necessarily a correlation between them. So it's been pretty fascinating to see for me how I am managing my life so that I'm not one thing. I'm a bunch of things to a bunch of people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I hope more CrossFitters understand that. But let's dive into it. We had Julie Fouché on, at this point, probably a couple of weeks ago, talking about what was going on. And one of the topics we really dug into was sleep.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't think I've made this up, but I often call it the 4 pillars: sleep, stress, fitness, and nutrition.
Yep.
And I think just about everybody in the CrossFit space, I mean, if you're focusing on all 4, I'll give it to you. Like, you can't really go wrong, but too many people prioritize fitness. And what's the opposite of prioritize? Deprioritize? Is that a word? Did I make that unprioritize?
Just avoid.
Avoid? I don't think they avoid it, but they certainly don't prioritize sleep.
Yeah.
And I have said, if I had to really order them, it would go sleep, nutrition, stress, and then fitness. Because truth be told, without those 3, fitness can do more damage than good, done improperly. I mean, overdone, right? And there's this idea of like overtraining. Are you overtraining or are you under recovering, right? You can under recover, like you're getting 3, let's assume 5 hours. Like 3 is a little low, but 5 to 6 hours is probably spot on for a lot of people. That's probably not enough time to recover from a full day of CrossFit, especially if you're not eating right, and especially if your stress is through the roof, which, most people are, and you can control it. Like, so many people are like, but I can't control. Like, I got an 8-month-old. I run a business. I try to spend time with my wife, still traveling for work, and I go to bed by 9:30, and I get up at 6 or 6:30 every day. So even Jocko, who's, notorious for waking up at 4:30 a.m., prioritizes sleep and gets 7 or 8 hours. He just goes to bed earlier. So with that being said, drum roll, please tell me about the new launch PN has.
Well, I'll just say one quick thing that you mentioned about this, movement, nutrition, sleep, stress management type thing. before I joined PN, I probably would have ranked those as movement, exercise being right at the top, maybe stress management, just kind of mental health being number 2. I'd put nutrition as number 3, and I'd put sleep as number 4. Like, not even something I considered. I grew up in a corporate environment. So prior to joining PN, I worked for, large corporations, a couple Fortune 500s, and sleep was like, there was the whole, like, you'll sleep when you're dead type mentality. And that's how everyone was in at 7:00 and grinded it out. And it was a badge of honor to say that you slept 4 hours a day. Then when I joined PN, I think that the big shift that happened is I actually moved nutrition up into that number 2 spot, if not the number 1 spot for me, which had a lot of health benefits to me, but it still kept sleep down at the bottom. And then about 6 months ago, when we were finalizing what we're going to talk about today, which is a brand new product from Precision Nutrition called Sleep, Stress Management, and Recovery, SSR, you'll hear me call it. It's a brand new
Stress management and recovery?
So sleep, stress management, and recovery.
So basically, PN now... Did you guys steal that from me? Like, did you guys hear the podcast and say, hey, that guy's onto something? Because I feel like I'm owed a percentage, or at least a small stipend. Like, you basically took my 4 pillars and ran with it.
Okay. Well, so here's what I can tell you. In addition to suing us, you can also sue Nike because they have the exact same 4 pillars.
Let me write that down. Nike.
I've got someone's phone number. You can call them up.
They're in Oregon, right? I'm going to be in Seattle in a couple of days.
Perfect. You can just walk over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just walk over. Tell them you're Jason Ackerman. Someone knows you. You'll get it.
Yeah, they'll recognize me.
Yeah. You'd like to speak to someone in legal.
They probably have a picture like, don't let him in because we stole his idea. Keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
If you see an angry short man with a beard, watch out.
Yeah, exactly. Don't let him in here. He's probably going to be wearing nanos. Anyway, the point being is, what we did was we sat and thought, sorry, I'm just explaining about how my thing has changed. When we started finalizing this program and I went through it, I think one of the things for me is it kind of oddly gave me this permission to sleep more, because I learned more about why. I've heard all the sleep hygiene things, dark room, don't use your cell phone, get 7 or 8 hours, but you hear that kind of thing. And it's kind of like nutrition where someone says, eat more vegetables, less processed sugar, yada, yada, yada. These are talking points. But until you understand the why behind each of them, it's just a talking point. And so what we ended up doing at PN is, we decided that what our real secret sauce, what makes PN different, is that we, like I said, are the only company that really coaches people and then teaches people how to become coaches. So where we're different is our change psychology and our coaching methodology work that we do. And we thought to ourselves, okay, other than nutrition and what we've brought to that world, and you had mentioned earlier that a lot of people have it, we actually crossed 150,000 coaches at the beginning of 2021, which we were super excited about.
Congrats.
Thank you very much. It's been, the team here has been working on this for 10 years, 4 different iterations on this product. And it continues to be an absolute success, which is amazing.
And by the way, for all you level 3 CrossFit trainers, you get quite a bit of CEUs. I used it to revalidate mine.
Yeah, you absolutely do. Yeah, we've had a great relationship with CrossFit for the last 2 years or so, that I originally formed with Eric Preston, who I know you know really well.
Fern quotes him all the time. One of the best quotes we always give is "Catch people in the act of doing something great." It's an Eric Preston quote.
Yeah, no, he's an amazing guy, and he and I formed a very quick relationship. Like I said, a couple of years ago, and he helped get us all connected with CrossFit and set up as an education partner.
Eric?
I met Eric through another good friend of mine, Nicole Aucoin from Healthy Steps
Nicole's
Nutrition.
Awesome, yeah.
You know Nicole. So Nicole and I met 3 years ago, and she introduced me to Eric, and the rest is history. But like you said, for level 3 and 4 coaches, there's some great CEUs that they get with the PN level 1. Anyway, so for us, we thought, okay, if our secret sauce is really that change psychology thing, is there other elements of health and wellness, again, the 4 that we've talked about, that we could put into that same category? And we decided that sleep, stress, and recovery were the three that we wanted to tackle kind of as a group.
After hearing about me talk about it, yep.
Hearing about you talking about it and absolutely stealing your idea. And then Nike stole it from us. And essentially what we've done is we partnered up with 4 international thought leaders in this area, because obviously we're not in a position to be writing about this, but we took the concept of the nutrition level 1 and applied it to those topics. So we worked with these folks for almost a year. We got the whys behind all of these things, and again, in the same way that we did with nutrition, built a program so that we're going to educate coaches to become very competent sleep and recovery coaches, and being able to communicate the whys behind these each thing and create customized programs for their clients that really address and again meet those people where they're at. So we are super excited. It's launching on November 8th. I'm not sure when the podcast is coming out.
This will be a little prior to that, I assume. We're recording in mid-October, so yeah, hope a little bit before that.
So yeah, we're going to be coming out. We're launching on November 8th, which we're super excited about. And yeah, I think this is going to be an exciting product for us, not only for people that have known PN just for the nutrition work, but we're also going out into new markets that we haven't addressed before. So we're again super excited about it and thankful that the market has rewarded us with the opportunity to do this and do more work for more people.
So for those that have taken the PN level 1, how is this? Is this structured the same? You kind of every day get a little reminder of the section you're on, and is the course divided into those 3 sections separately, or is there a lot of overlap throughout?
So it's got the same structure, meaning that we're going to spend a bunch of time talking about sleep and recovery science and stress management science, giving people what we think are the most important pieces of information on the why, so they have a deep understanding of what that is. Then we're going to move into the PN Deep Health Framework, which gets into, again, how your sleep affects your nutrition, how your nutrition affects your sleep, how your sleep affects your movement, so that, again, you understand how all these things work together. And then we're going to use some of the PN frameworks, like our goals, skills, practices, and actions, so a way that coaches can build plans for their clients. Now, if you're a PN level 1 and you've done the program, this is not really it's not really just a carbon copy. We've, again, worked with these folks to say, okay, how are we going to, based on their coaching experience, how are we going to take elements of PN and adopt it to this specific discipline or specific disciplines? So there isn't going to be overlap. It's not going to be like, oh, well, these are just carbon copies of the level 1. This is distinctly a different certification than the level 1.
Will they get? Is this already accredited by ANSI for CrossFit?
So what's
trainers?
So what we're doing is I was about to say it's a great question. We're in the process of you need a board. What you need is a board where when somebody says that's a great question, you should put a little tick.
I've got it. It's in the closet because it's full. I had to get rid of it.
You should take down the Muhammad Ali thing and just start putting ticks on that wall. That's what you should do. Anyway, the point being is we are in the process now of submitting for CEU accreditation with a number of different organizations. CrossFit is one of them. So the hope is that we will be able to communicate once it's launched that if you complete the program, you get CEUs, regardless of if you're fitness or CrossFit or anyone else.
Well, and obviously, I think you guys will get the CEUs taken care of course. But regardless of that, like, this is something that needs to be happening. If anything, there's been a lot of people speaking out for and against what CrossFit's doing with the healthcare. And regardless of your feelings on that, it should be eye-opening to you that, hey, I do need to focus on the other 23 hours of the day 100%. For my members.
100%.
You could sit here and whine and cry about it, or you can do something about it. And by doing something about it, it's learn more, practice what you preach, and help your members, you can't, I don't want you to go to every member's home and tuck them into bed at 9 o'clock at night, but you talk about it at the board, You show them on your social media that you're putting it into practice. Have a Saturday morning chat about, hey, these are my things that I enjoy doing. Like I put a post up recently, like you said, dark room. Fern makes fun of me when I travel because I have an eye mask. I have a gravity blanket. I have an 8 sleep, like all the things. And by the way, I just bought those things. They're not sending them to me. I mean, 8 sleep, feel free to hit me up. I'll take another. But I'm telling you, like,
Do you ship to Canada?
yeah. And for those people that wear a Whoop, it's like, oh, what can I do to get recovery? Well, A, sleep more, and B, it's no different than, it's like, I want to get fitter. You don't just train.
Yeah.
You think about what you're doing to train. You warm up, you cool down, etc. You have pre-workout, post-workout nutrition. And then all of a sudden it's like we're not naive to this anymore. Like you said, there's that period of time where it's like hustle, grind, etc. Cool. I agree with those things while getting 8 hours of sleep.
Exactly.
Or you know what? Have a period in your life. Like when I was opening my affiliates, yeah, I was burning the candle and I didn't get enough sleep. Okay, that doesn't mean I need to do that forever or I didn't learn from my mistakes. I mean, when I was the chubby affiliate owner that I talk about, I have no doubt a majority of that was because I was getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep trying to train and also, eating poorly.
I 100%, and I've had this conversation with actually a few people in nutrition, kind of sleep, the whole thing is from an affiliate owner's perspective. Again, it doesn't need to be preachy, but it becomes a value add. Talking about, and again, you don't have to spend a lot of time on it. You don't have to tell people what to do, but give people, people that are showing up at CrossFit are intelligent folks. They're investing a significant amount of money. There are much cheaper ways for them to get movement, but there's a lot of advantages that CrossFit provides. The community, the functional training, that kind of thing. And you being able to take that person and give them some nuggets of information for them to process and figure out how to apply to their own life provides more value, in my opinion, as a box owner. So it's not just I'm coming to your box to grind it out for an hour and then go home. I'm taking parts of that with me as I go throughout my day and maybe even telling somebody else about it. Hey, this is what I learned at the box. One of the reasons that we shouldn't be looking at our phones before bed are 1, 2, and 3. Oh, where'd you learn that? Oh, the box that I go to every morning for the 6 a.m. class. So again, I think there's a lot of ways that these types of conversations can be employed in lots of different settings. You and I are just talking about, the boxes because that's who the audience is. But I think there's lots of different ways for people in our industry to really be talking about those 4 pillars that you made up.
I appreciate that. Tell me one thing you learned about each of those, about the sleep, the stress management, and the recovery that you didn't know before PN stole this from me.
So I think, particularly when it comes to the sleep thing, it's really the why when you hear 7 to 8 hours, and you break down the way sleep cycles work and what happens in each of those cycles, that to me was the most interesting part. And when you understand the actual recovery that your body, like your muscles and your brain get from getting those, more time in each of those zones, that for me that's where I became, I was given the permission to sleep longer as opposed to trying to pack more into a day, because I actually saw it as an investment in my day, in my cognitive performance while I'm working or while I'm spending time with the family, because I now understand what happens inside of each of those sleep things. That was the thing there. The stress thing, same idea. I found one of the things that we teach in the course is the impact on your stress and your sleep. So if I go to bed stressed out about something, or, something that I do a lot is all of our conversations with folks overseas, particularly in Australia and Hong Kong, I will have at 10 p.m. Because for me, the kids are asleep, it's quiet here, and it's either 10 a.m. for them or noon in Australia. I stopped doing that. Because what ended up happening for me, and one of the things that's in the program, is it wasn't the screen. It was the fact that I was cognitively operating up here from 10 until 11. And then I'm like, okay, I guess I'm just going to go to sleep now. And well, I could get to sleep because, I loaded myself with melatonin. The quality of that sleep was atrocious. So I'd wake up the next day feeling groggy, load myself up with caffeine, and then start the whole cycle again. So the way that I regulate my stress, especially leading up to bed, now that I have an understanding again of how those different cycles works, is something I've certainly changed. The recovery thing, I think a lot more CrossFitters might have a better sense of this. I have done a lot more active recovery, and we talked a lot about walking before. I would see recovery as I'm taking the day off. I'm not going to do anything today. And I think one of the things that I learned, and again, your audience is probably well aware of this already, but it was a learning for me, not coming from this industry, was that now I utilize walking as an active recovery mechanism when I'm in between harder training days. So again, there's lots of very interesting, and it's really it's the why behind all of this that we use so that coaches can not only have a deeper understanding for themselves, but understanding how it fits within a deep health framework so that they can go meet their client where they're at and create customized, personalized programming or steps for that individual, because they don't just know talking points, they understand the why behind it.
Yeah, and I would imagine, just like nutrition, the goal is to meet them where they are. If you have a client that's like,
100%.
I get 4 hours of sleep, I'm like, hey, can we shoot for 4.5? Or I'm super stressed out. One of the books I'm reading, Tiny Habits.
Yep.
I'm full disclosure, I often fail at my meditation practice. I took the TM course during the pandemic. I love it when I do it. My opinion, 2 20-minute sessions a day is aggressive for a lot of people. That's where they can improve upon, because what I learned in Tiny Habits, it's like, hey, how about 3 breaths? Can you sit and take 3 breaths?
That's it.
I'm like, oh, I can do that. Now I can take 5. Now I can do 5 minutes. And now, and it's like, I kept feeling like a failure, even when I would do a 20-minute session, because it's like, oh, I only did it once. I'm supposed to do it twice. Well, sure, like the guru of TM may have found that that's to be ideal. You look at that guy, he had no muscle on his body. So he clearly wasn't training, right? So, maybe he didn't have kids. I don't know. But anyway, the point is, start small, make those small steps. And I love the idea of understanding the why. Personally, I don't care about the why for many things. I'm like, tell me what to do, what will work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most of the members are like that as well. But you're right. If you're going to do a presentation, here's what I'm hearing. And tell me if you like this idea. I mean, obviously, PN's going to steal it. But anyway.
We apparently have a track record.
I would, if I'm a box owner right now, here's what I would do. I would have the 4 pillars. Listen, what I'm doing right now. I'm basically giving this away. Like, this is who I am.
This is the $1 million worth of game right now.
Right now, and I'm giving it away.
Should we give people the opportunity to get a pen?
You pause the podcast. All right, you're back with a pen, right? If you were driving, pull over. This is, you're going to want to write this down. 4, let's call them seminars at your box over the course of let's say this podcast comes out November 1st. I don't know. Katie will, let us know. November 1st to December 31st, you have 2 months. What do we know about this time of year? Most stressful time of year.
Mm-hmm.
Most stressful time of year. Eating, sleep-wise, lack of training. Over the next 8 weeks, I want you to do a seminar every other week. Call it Saturday, 9 a.m. on 1 pillar. And then by the end of the year, you've done all 4. So ideally, you time this. Take the SSR course, November 8th, it comes out. How long do you think it takes people? Let's really nail this down for the listeners. How long does it take? What's the anticipated time?
So it is. All right,
you're about to blow up my plan, aren't you, Jason?
I'm not going to blow up your plan. I'm going to blow up your timing a little bit.
Okay, but you like where I'm going with this.
But conceptually, so here's what I would say. Let's keep going with what you're saying, because I think the concept of what you're saying is incredibly important versus the details. The details are I want you to finish
reach out. I know it's not Berardi anymore. Who's in charge of PN? Do you want to call them and tell them to hop on this show with us? Well, before I give it away.
Tim is in Italy right now, so it's.
Hold on, let me text Tim. I got his number somewhere around here.
Get Tim on the phone. No, but I think conceptually what you're talking about is this idea of focus. I would go a step further.
Oh, you're going to add to this. Do you want to?
Yeah, no, and I think
buy in 80-20 partnership right now.
So here's the thing, Jay.
Jason,
if you're going to steal someone's idea, you got to put a clock in it. You got to put an extra button. You got to make something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Here's what I would say. I love the idea of the focus in a particular area, but I would make it omnipresent to the training. So every Saturday at the board, we're going to take 2 minutes and we're just going to talk about an element, one single element about nutrition. We're going to do a single element about sleep. We're going to do a single element, maybe even about active recovery and movement, right? Like, what do you do when you're not in here at this board getting ready to grind it out? So that a couple things happen. The members are slowly starting to make incremental changes to their own lives. And again, you're getting that flywheel to start to spin. And from a business perspective, members are thinking about you and what they get from the box when they're not in the box, and they're starting to employ these tactics in their life and hopefully telling somebody else. So that I think conceptually is where, and again, this is personally where I would take it, but again,
I like it. You don't have to go too crazy, but yeah, maybe Saturday mornings, instead of an hour, it's just like, hey guys, we're gonna do a team workout. Prepare to be here for an hour and a half, and we're going to chat at the board after. You don't want to stick around, that's fine.
Then you can go.
Yeah,
no problem.
But how long do you anticipate if someone were to sign up for the course on November 8th? How long do you think it should take them to complete it? Like, I know the PN1's like months.
So the PN1 is 64 hours. This is 60.
So just as long. So okay, the timing might not line up, but you know what? All you have to do is stay a chapter ahead of your members. That's something I learned a long time ago. Just stay. That's all I'm doing with the baby. I'm just one step ahead of this kid.
So my father famously would always say, don't sweat the details, think of the concept. And that's kind of what I think we should take away here. And I'm going to take this idea. We're going to rebrand it. We'll put something cool on it, and then it'll be ours. And then Nike will steal it from us.
The PNJA1 is
perfect.
Yeah. So, but I think, look, most box owners know a little bit about nutrition. And again, maybe this is the 2022 thing at your box. Like, hey guys, we're doing some small wins. Like I said, hey, I want you to each do the following 3 things every day. Step on the scale, drink of water, go for a walk or whatever that looks like. Sleep, I want you to simply track it. That's where I would start. Like, how much sleep are you actually getting? Because sleep is like nutrition. How do you eat? I eat good. Well, I saw you eat some Pop-Tarts earlier. Is that good? Like, what does that mean? It's not necessarily bad, but what does it mean? Same with stress. Like, what are you doing to mitigate stress? Are you taking deep breaths? And then, of course, when it comes to fitness, you're showing up here. Like, let's pick a number of times a week. But yeah, if you're not focusing on the SSR, as I dubbed it years ago,
of course,
you're leaving so much on the table.
I think you're spot on. I think you're spot on. And again, we're excited about this, and we're excited to be. This is the first real sleep and recovery certification in the industry that isn't a health coach or anything. Like, there's people out there that are talking about sleep, but it's very much focused for our industry. So that's one of the things that we're super excited about.
There's nothing out there. Like, I read Breath by James Nestor.
Yep.
I haven't listened to it yet, but it's on my perpetual audible book, Why We Sleep.
Why We Sleep. It's great.
And honestly, I've not listened to it because I'm like, I just know we need to sleep. You don't need to tell me why. Like, I know good shit happens when you sleep. So that's why I've not listened to it. Honestly, I'm like, that's one of those things where I'm like, I don't need to know the science. I'll just try to get 8 hours. So I love it. November 8th is the launch, 60 hours. So what is that? I mean, 30 minutes to an hour a day, maybe, so we're still talking 60 days, so 2 to 3 months.
So if we look at the level 1, the average that we see for someone to complete the program sits somewhere around 12 weeks. So you're looking at 3 months.
Slow people, huh?
Yeah, no, you can crush the thing out. You can absolutely crush it. But, like we've said, the people that take our PN program, like you were saying when you were an affiliate owner, are doing a whole bunch of other things too. And, they've got families, they've got businesses, they've got, friends that they have to work with. So they work it in where they can. That's the way it's designed. But you can absolutely crush it if you want to.
And you sign up, you get like that 4-book packet. It's like the first textbook you'll have since high school or college. Like, it's pretty thick.
So good call out. The level 1 is the one with the big the big package of information. What we've done with SSR, and this is all based on customer feedback, is we've created an entire new digital environment to serve the program out in. So it's going to be, what you'll notice from it is it's less text heavy. There's a lot more interactive elements to it. There's more videos. There's more bite-sized nuggets of information versus just, lots of text.
I love it. And, I will say, having done the PN1, I think it's one of those courses where you should read the book, etc. But it's also one where you're going to resort back to quite often.
Yep.
So don't let the, pack of books scare you away. Like, it's like a doctor, I'm sure a general practitioner doesn't remember every single thing you do, for every single disease known to man. You have to look it up, you Google it, etc. But I'm sure this will be much the same. And like we said, we joked about it, but it's true. Just stay a little bit ahead. And like you said, your father is a smart man. Remember the concepts.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So
I'll let him know that you said that, by the way. It's going to make his year.
Well, you want to get Tim on the line? Who's Tim? What's his title? Is he the CEO?
Tim's our CEO. Yeah.
Is he your direct, or you're the vice president? So is there a president of
So this gets into a whole other thing, because PN doesn't have a hierarchical organizational structure. We operate in something
Tim's
called a holacracy. No, I'm not. So there's really no bosses per se. Basically, each person has a set of roles and responsibilities in the company that you have full autonomy on. So the things that I have, that have been assigned to me, my responsibilities, I get to make the final decision on. The people that also do work in the partnership work, they have been assigned responsibilities. They have full autonomy to make the decisions relevant to those things. So nobody reports to me. I don't necessarily report to Tim. And you said about the title at the beginning of the show, they're basically there for external purposes. A lot of people in the company don't actually have quote unquote titles. I just have it because externally people say, hey, what is your title? And I tell them.
I would imagine, though, you're going to get some sort of promotion after being on this podcast.
Well, I would look at that in 2 different ways. One, from a company perspective, there's going to be a parade at minimum. From a personal perspective,
through the streets of Toronto, just
this is the thing.
Middle of winter.
I'm going to come right through between 2 maples here, and there's going to be fireworks. It's going to be a whole thing.
Let me know when. I'll be there.
Please. Well, you might take some of my light.
I don't want to steal your thunder.
Yeah, we might have a picture of you somewhere. We'll get people to sign it. It'll be nice.
A statue being erected in
a
Toronto.
Bust. Yes, there will be a brass bust.
Small statue to scale.
You just tell me what you want. We can scale it. We can do whatever you want. But anyway, no. All joking aside, Jay, I have loved all of our conversations. This one did not disappoint. I really appreciate the opportunity to come and chat about this a little bit. But yeah, for us, from a PN perspective, anybody wants to reach out directly to me, they can reach out. I'm at jason.crowe, and that's Crowe with an E, at precisionnutrition.com. So by all means, send me an email or reach out to me on LinkedIn if you want. And
people use LinkedIn. Is that a thing?
People still use LinkedIn. A lot of people use LinkedIn. Are you not on LinkedIn, Jay?
I'm on it, but it's one of those things, like I'll ask, somebody will send me a message and I'll check it like every quarter and have like a billion. It's all auto stuff, I feel like.
Oh, really?
Well, you like click someone's like wants to be connection. You click and then pop up, hey, you know, let's have a chat. Like,
Let's have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No, I
but
still use it. I still use it a bunch. But yeah,
You're a professional.
Instagram. You know, you
What's
can
your
find me on
Instagram?
Instagram. Jason W. Crowe.
Jason W. Crowe, and like you said, Jason.Crowe. That's CROWE.
You got it.
At precisionnutrition.com. Please let him know how great this podcast was. And I'd like to, you know, let's start a petition, you know, make Ackerman part owner of Precision Nutrition, based on the fact that, you know, there's a little bit of
the idea,
yeah,
you know,
the idea.
and then Nike, let's get make a trifecta out of this. It'll be really good. A lot of lawyers will make a lot of money.
I'll Google Tim's last name, and I'm assuming it's a Tim dot, just like CrossFit. If you want to find anyone on CrossFit, it's, you know, name at, you know, so I'll shoot Tim a message. Yeah. And we'll get to the bottom of this. Don't you worry. Beautiful. And I got to hit up that Nike character, but this is great. So we will have the link to get signed up November 8th. Is there a wait list or anything people can do in the meantime?
Yeah. So as of right now, folks, we had sent out a private announcement to people that had graduated the level 1. So if you're a level 1 graduate, you will have received an invite to join. What we're having is kind of like a waiting list, so we can launch this thing on the 8th. If anybody has not completed the level 1, shoot me an email. I'll get you on the list just because you're friends of Jason's.
All right. A friend of mine is a friend of yours.
Exactly.
Great chatting with you. And I do appreciate the father advice earlier on that wasn't on the show, but maybe we can do another episode all about parenthood.
We can do whatever you want. I will chat with you anytime you want.
You know, I do tell people, you get a lot of people ask me like about it. And I'm like, look, most people are lying to you.
Yep.
You know, like there's great parts of it. There's terrible parts of it. I think there's this idea that you have to do it to be fulfilled in life. I think there's certainly, I feel great. I love it. Like I enjoy her very much, but I'd like to think I would have been relatively fulfilled without her.
You would have been fine without her.
But I think it's pretty freaking cool. And anytime I'm willing to put my training aside to do something else, you know, I care about it. So
exactly.
She's pretty awesome. Anyway, I'll let you go. Enjoy your day in Toronto. Thanks again. I'm very excited to do this because, you know, I think again, the SSR aspect is super valuable, and all CrossFit coaches should be, you know, I get it. Not 150,000. That's a huge percentage of level 1 trainers, which I imagine is a big part of it. So, you know, consider it. And those of you that have your level 3, as soon as you get accredited, I'm sure you'll see more of it, you know, coming through. So
you got it.
Good stuff, Jason. Thanks a lot.
My friend, thank you very much.
So you never miss an episode of the podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel and on all major podcasting platforms at Best Hour of Their Day. Thank you so much for tuning in and for being a part of the best hour of our day. See you next time.